There are moments when life as you know it completely falls apart. Divorce, loss, failure, heartbreak, financial collapse. It's 2 a.m., you can't sleep, and everything feels like it's over. But here's the truth. This is not the end. I'm Christy Zlakis, and this is a show where we talk about the strategies that turn heartbreak, loss, and failure into success, and share the real stories of people who've done it. Because no matter how dark it feels right now, your story isn't over. Hello and welcome back to This Is Not the End. Today we have a very special guest, Corine Rogers, on the show. And Corine, first, thank you so much for being on the show. And one of the things I appreciated so much about Corine is that she actually reached out after listening to my first episode. Isn't that right, Corine?
That is very true. Yes.
So, Corine, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, what do you do for a living,
Sure.
and then we'll get into what resonated with you and what message you want to share.
Okay. My name is Corine Rogers, and I am a consultant. I own my own company called Simple Smart Solo, and I happen to work with lots of small law firms nationwide. I help them with building out their software. If they are estate planning or probate law firms, I help them build out their software, their tech for small law firms. But how I ended up here is that I listened to a couple of podcasts religiously as soon as the episodes come out, I listen to them. And I think one of them, I think you were on an episode of Maverick Mindset with Adam Williams and Jackie Williams. They own Pennywise Tax Strategies in Erie, Pennsylvania. So I listened to all of their episodes. I think they're great. You were on one. You mentioned that you had a podcast called This Is Not the End, and I listened to an episode, and you had been sharing quite authentically and vulnerable. You were completely vulnerable on this episode. You were sharing about why you were doing this, and that you were looking for guests on your podcast. And you shared a story where a relationship had ended and your friends, your true confidants, rushed in to help you and support you through the worst of the worst. And one thing that you could not do, even with support of friends, was that you could not sleep in the bed again.
Oh,
You
yeah, that was
slept
weird.
you slept on the floor. And in that moment, I said, she gets it. She gets it. Because what I haven't shared yet is that although I own a business and that's what I do for a living, my personal life is currently, it has changed from what I wanted it to be. I am what is known as a wonder widow, which is a widow that wonders, how the hell did that happen? And how did we get to be a widow? So I lost my husband almost 4 years till today. Tomorrow is the marker of 4 years, the anniversary of losing him. And I am on that journey, a journey that I didn't sign up for, a ride that I didn't buckle up for, that I don't want to be on, but I'm on it and trying to navigate it and all that comes with it. Right. So, um, there are books, there are podcasts, there are socials, Instagram, Facebook, there are support groups, there are people that tell their stories. And every once in a while, something really resonates with me. And I say, that person, they get it. That's a safe person to share my story with, or that's a person that we could vibe essentially together on this wild um, ride of grief. So I assume that like what you went through, you identify it as grief?
Yes, grief is grief, and in grief
Someone
happens
doesn't.
in
Yeah.
all kinds of different ways. Not in a comparison way. I want to say that for the audience. I know you and I both know that, but
Mhm.
you can't compare one person's grief to another, and they can be caused by different things. But yes, there's a recognition in that in
Yeah.
certain moments, and
It's a loss. A loss of any kind is there is grief that may come through. Yeah. So when you shared that there were things you could not do, I always think about the things that I can't do, and I try to finish the can't do with the word yet, right? But then there are certain things that I won't be able to do anymore, and I have to figure out how to move them. So, for example, um, you mentioned that you slept on the floor because at that point you could not sleep in the bed again without your partner. I can't hug my partner anymore. And there is a moment where one day I was feeling very sad and very lonely, and I really wanted to hug, embrace my partner. Again, my partner was 6'4" and weighed around probably 240 when he passed. Big dude over there. Big dude, but tall dude, big shoulders. And I was standing next to the refrigerator, just standing in my kitchen trying to think, what's your next move for the day to turn this around? And I leaned against the refrigerator and thought to myself, huh, this is like the same frame as my husband. And in a moment of what some may call insanity, I just called it complete surrender. I took my arms and I wrapped them around the side of the refrigerator. And for the first time in a really long time, it just it felt like some kind of relief that this this was the same size, like a outlet for my
Yeah.
knee to hug. And
This makes so much sense
it
to
was
me.
like a mini release. And I've told that story to close friends. No one's looked at me like I was crazy. They all just said, "Yeah, what else are you supposed to do? What
Y
else?"
you're not
Yeah,
crazy. When a relationship ends, whether
yeah,
it's somebody choosing to leave or, whether somebody not choosing to leave, and having been a part of a lot of different divorces and also experiencing, grief in other ways in my life, we are humans and we need touch. Even the people who think they don't, even the people who are like, I'm not a touchy-feely person, we need touch. They say kids, I heard a study one time, kids need to be hugged 7 times a day. Like, we all need it.
mhm,
I
yeah,
remember after my relationship ended, the first time I got a massage, which is gonna sound silly because it's not the same kind of touch, and don't get anybody weird, but, like, somebody touching me, like, I sobbed on the massage table, and I don't even think I've ever told anybody this story, but, like, I sobbed on the massage table just because it was so strange to be touched again, and I can completely connect, and when you DM me about, the refrigerator, I could completely connect with that, like, the desire to hug again and to feel touch again,
yeah.
and I understand. But let's take the audience back a little bit. So tell us about your husband. How did you
Oh,
meet? What was his name? Who was he?
yeah, it's a good story. It's a really good story. I enjoy telling it. Thanks for asking. My husband, his name was Chris Holly, and I did not ever legally change my name, but we did go by the Jolly Hollies.
Oh, I
Uh,
love that.
yeah, so we were the Jolly Hollies, and we were also, if I would have changed my name, his middle name was Raymond, and my last name is Rogers. So I don't have a middle name, so we were going to move Rogers to my middle name. So my initials and his would have been identical, CRH.
Okay.
So we were, and I still am, I think, on my personal Instagram, CRH squared. That was our tagline
Oh, I love
for
that.
being, you know, I think that was like on our wedding invitations or something like that, or I think it was our
Your
wedding.
unique signature as a couple.
Yeah, like, yeah. So, we were the Jolly Hollies and, CRH squared, and he was quite jolly. Um, there are pictures always circulating of him in a Santa suit because Santa, for all of you young listeners out there, occasionally picks special people to be their elves, and he would occasionally be, um, an elf for Santa. But, we met way back in 2014. I was training for an Ironman and was single, ready to mingle. So I went on an old website called Match.com. And in the olden days, you could search by keyword. So my first keyword was I wanted to um, find another Ironman. I said, what if? So I typed in the word Ironman and tons and tons of men came up. And I thought, that's interesting. I didn't know that there were all these men into Ironman triathlon. Um, For those of you that don't know, an Ironman is a long distance triathlon. It's a 2.4 mile swim and then a 112-mile bike and then a full marathon, 26.2 miles. And you do it all in a day. And there's all these other athletes and it's like really fun. And yes, there's some of us that might be borderline bananas, but we actually pay and do this sport. So I was one of them and I still am, but yeah. So I searched for Ironman and it turned out that most of these men were into the Marvel
Yeah,
character.
not the
Right,
same.
and
Not the
not the
same.
same. No, no. So I sat back and I typed it again, and I said, "Okay, let me try Ironman triathlete," and 8 men popped up, and I knew 4 of them, and I was like, "Whoop, no, 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 no." People that I knew from the triathlon world. There were 4 left, so I sent each one of them a message, and 1 responded a couple days later, I think, and his name was Chris. We went out for a first date, and, this hulking size of a height of a refrigerator 6'4" guy in a baggy shirt and baggy jeans and flip-flops, um, hulking shoulders, showed up on our first date, and he sat down and he said, "I'm Chris. I'm single. I'm training for an Ironman, and I don't want any kids."
Well, he knew what he wanted and he had no problem putting it out there.
Yeah, and, "Oh, and I don't drink." I said, "Okay." And,
So is
I
that
had a
what
beer.
swept you off your feet? That opener?
Yeah, he did not pay for my beer. Um, we chatted. There wasn't anything terrible. And I just thought he was nice, and that was the end of the first date. And then fast forward, um, it was, I think, Labor Day. It was the weekend. It was coming up, like, it was the weekend, and I was training, so I didn't really drink very much. I wasn't into going to, like, heavy happy hour or anything like that. And he messaged and said, "Hey, do you wanna get ice cream?" And I thought that was just the most down to earth, normal thing. I could be back in at my house and go to sleep for 6 a.m. workout. Like this was just normal, and this was a good compliment to my life. So yeah, um, so yeah, ice cream, and then we were each other's cheerleaders. We stayed in Ironman for a number of years. Me more of a runner, him more of a triathlete,
Yeah.
and then we got married in 2017 and we got almost 5 years together. We got about 4.5, and he unfortunately um, passed away. He suddenly passed away. Yeah.
So taking us back, you said 4.5 years together. How long did you date and how long were you married?
We dated from 2014 to 2017, so about 3 years. And then we were married in 2017 and he passed away. It will be actually at the time of this recording. He passed away on February 19th, 2022.
So outside of triathlons, who was Chris?
Oh, he was a person that believed in transformation. And he believed that wherever you are now doesn't define what you're capable of. Um, he uh, Wade, he went on a journey himself. He went on a personal journey to transform who he was, both mindset, mentally, and physically. So prior to me meeting him, he weighed 420 pounds and was living a lifestyle where he worked a lot of hours, flew around the country doing sales. And by his description, it was many evenings on a bar stool in your neighborhood bar, eating chicken wings and drinking beer, which would lead into 4 glorious days in San Diego because he lived in San Diego of that lifestyle, and that was a lot on his body. He at one point said that he weighed 420 pounds, had to use the seatbelt extender, didn't fit in an airplane seat. The
I can
steering
relate
wheel
to
was tight.
a lot of that.
Like finding clothes was difficult. But he'll say that friends and himself believed that he carried it well and he was a jolly guy and um, he made it work for him.
So, what moment kind of changed things for him? How do you go from, almost 420 pounds to the triathlete that you met on your first date?
Buckle up. Um, he has always told me that for him, it was another night of partying till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, um, bars, friends, drinking, debauchery. And he woke up. I think he's like, I've heard a couple different versions of the story, but he basically woke up and he didn't know where he was. He was not at home. He was either like on somebody's front lawn or on somebody's terrible couch. And he says it's either divine intervention, a voice, a shift in the soul, energy. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. But he said that he was told, this is it for you. Today is the day that you have to stop everything and make a change or you're going to die. That's it. And he was probably about 35 at that point. Um, yeah, he's probably about 35. So he did. He stopped. So that was probably around 2012, 2013. No, about probably like 2011, 2012, somewhere in there. And he stopped drinking. He said the drinking never really had a vice on him, but it was where all of his social activities were.
Sure.
So when he broke up with the drinking, he had to break up with all of those involved in that, which meant like a real punch, a halt to his social activities, a loss of friends, right? Um, and he started walking. He just started doing walks, like moving his body more, and some weight started coming off. And then he signed up for, I think, some distance walking, running events, and he walked them. He couldn't run them yet. So it was
That's
like a
what I
five.
did when
Yeah.
I was first losing weight. And
Yeah.
actually, even when I was trying to lose weight, walking. And that's such a supportive community.
Yes. People don't realize the difficulty and the challenges of walking when your body is that size. There are
Yes.
so many factors that can inhibit you walking a half a mile. It's not the same for a larger body and versus a smaller body to walk a half a mile. It's not just the cardio, it's the physical movement, those muscles, that skin has not moved in that way. This is hard, hard work. And I want to just be like so respectful of that decision when people make that decision and people are obese to start walking. I think we're more transparent about it now with social media that people do tell their stories, but there is skin chafing and it's
Yep.
painful. And then you have to do it again the next day if you truly want this to work. And it's very, very hard. So he started walking like 5K, 10K distances. I think he signed up for a half marathon, um, walked it with a friend, and then trained to run one, trained to do longer distances, started making healthier choices with food. Remember, the alcohol is gone. So now we have to start breaking up with anything that they sell with a drive through, anything that's available at the hotel bar at 11 p.m. when your flight lands. It's chicken fingers, French fries, and wings, folks. So we have to eat more salad and carrot sticks. You have to actually eat the celery and the carrot sticks that comes with the wings. Who does that? So he made all of these choices and then eventually says life is better from the bike. He starts biking He was always a phenomenal swimmer. In high school, it came back to him, muscle memory, and he registers for his first triathlon. Doesn't have a fancy bike, doesn't have a fancy wetsuit, has a routine pair of sneakers, and completes his first triathlon and loves it. It
That's
lights a
incredible.
fire in his soul. Fast forward, um, by the time I met him in 2014, he had dropped close to what we think was 200 pounds.
That's so
That's who I
incredible.
met, was a person that had already endured and challenged himself to such a high level that he was able to lose um, 200 pounds. That's, yeah,
So, and then that, of course, led to him meeting you,
it
his
did.
lovely wife. And tell me about your life together.
Thanks. So I obviously like long distance events were part of it. I'm a person that loves the long distance run. I love the marathon. Um, that's my jam. I like to do marathons. Huh. I Who doesn't love a good Gatorade and um
Well, and the goo gels. I like the caffeinated
oh
goo gels.
yeah, I mean a good I like the citrus goo gels. Those of you that are not familiar, a goo gel is literally something like this size and there's goo. It's a packet, and then you like rip the top off of it while you're running because you need to fuel while you're running or you'll run out of energy, and you eat the goo. And somehow you convince yourself that this is a delicious snack, and it is when you're two and a
Oh, in
half.
that moment, it is the most delicious thing you've ever tasted. At least
Yeah.
it was for me. But
Yeah. Yeah. So triathlon was a big part of it. I think we really, truly, authentically loved each other and loved being part of each other's lives. I was part of a community for my job that was entrepreneurial. So I worked long hours. I was helping grow a business, and I was in a relationship with someone with a growth mindset. And I was learning all of these things. It was really amazing to be with a partner that truly understood these things. And some of them he knew before I did, and some of them I knew before he did. I have a really great story about a book called Think and Grow Rich.
oh yeah, over
Uh,
right there.
do you have it?
Do I have it?
Do you have it? Okay, leave that there because mine is in the
Okay,
other
I'm
room.
holding it for those of you who are
Okay,
listening.
so this is a great book. I've never read it cover to cover. I
Okay.
read it like I think most people read the Bible. We read a few pages at a time, think about it, and then put the book down, pick the book up, put the book down. Anyway, I was invited to go to a mastermind. A mastermind is where you sit with a group of people who act as your confidants, but they're not really your true confidants, but they're there to call you out on your nonsense. Other people would say bullshit, but they're there. You show up to this mastermind asking the community, small people around a table, this is where I want to go in life. These are the things that are blocking me. Help me see the way to get around the obstacle or through the obstacle. Like, what do you see that I don't see? What do you know that I don't know? So, a mastermind has a facilitator, and I was part of this as part of a group. And it was a transformational experience. I went to it not with Chris, so he was not present. But before you go to the mastermind, you're given homework, and the homework needs to be completed by the time you show up to the mastermind. So it's like the day before the mastermind, and I'm running around our apartment, and he says to me, "What are you doing? What is your problem?" And I said, "I can't, I can't find this thing that I'm supposed to read. I have it. I think it's a book. I put it somewhere. I can't find it." And he goes, "What's the book?" And I said, Think and Grow, thinking something, rich thinking and growing." And he goes, and he reaches back. He's sitting in his home office. He reaches back to his bookshelf and he grabs a book and he goes, "This one, you can borrow my copy." And that's when I knew. That's when I knew that we were aligned in, I won't say in every way, because I don't know if anyone is aligned
No, No,
in every way. But it was a moment where I said, I don't believe this. The thing that I need to get me through is the thing that we already have. We don't have it. He has it, but he'll give me his so we can have it together, however you want to
I love that story.
digest that. So, yeah, wild story. And then during the grief process, the initial grief process, I was sitting in an office with my minister, and we were just talking about the loss of my husband. And we were talking about mindset because he said, "How are you doing?" And I said, "I'm good. I've got a whole bunch of tools to help me with my mindset. So, like, part of this, I feel like I'm equipped for grief. And then part of it, I just have to surrender." And I look to the right because, of course, there's always a good bookcase in every office. And next to me on the shelf is the copy thinking, staring at me in the face. And I said, Is this your book on the shelf?" And the minister said, what? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I have a lot of books." And I said, "You do. You have a lot of books, but you have just this one. And that lets me know that I'm where I'm supposed to be." So,
I love
yeah.
one of the things that you told me about Chris when we were kind of preparing this is that he believed in transformation and that he
Mhm.
believed that wherever you are today isn't where you have to be tomorrow or 5 years from now or 10 years from now.
Yeah.
How has that impacted you in your loss of Chris?
That's a really good question. Um, so I'm 4 years out from the worst moment of my life. And I can't say that the transformation happens like immediately. It didn't for me. There's a period where you're just kind of like, I'll use your words, we've chatted before. You're just kind of in a zombie state, right? And you'd like in the very early stages of losing someone suddenly, you're just making it moment to moment. And I empathize with anyone who has suffered a loss in that. That's all you've got.
That
You
numbness.
you don't
Right.
have anything left to give. Like, it was a goal for the first week to eat something, drink water, feed and water. My older sister calls it feed and water yourself. My job, like sticker chart style, was feed and water, feed and water. If I could do that twice a day, the feeding, the water was more important. Then I could make it another day, right? And then in the first year, it's just a lot of navigating what is going to be, and you have no handbook for yourself. But I don't like to use the word luck because I don't know if there really is any luck, but I had a set of tools from doing so much work on myself over the years and doing Ironman and working for an entrepreneur, from being around other entrepreneurs because I was part of an entrepreneurial group, several of them. At some point, like, if there's a grief meter, I think the grief meter stays at its level. I'll never stop missing him, right?
Of course
But
not.
the grief, maybe the heaviness of it gets a tiny bit lighter, that you can like come up for air. Like, you can pause treading for a second and you can get a view of like there's future, there's more. My heart breaks for people that haven't got that moment yet, that they haven't been able to get to the surface because it feels like you're underwater. I did a lot of swimming. Um and I could see it. And I was like, damn, it's shitty. The view is shitty from up here, but okay, I have the power to change that. I can There's still a whole lot of things that I want to be part of, and I'm not ready to surrender. And I made that decision, and um truthfully, like, running kept me alive. Not that I was going to end anything for myself. That was never a consideration, but I wanted like my soul to come back to the
Yeah.
person that it was. I wanted whatever was left of her.
You know,
I wanted a chunk of her. to move
Not talking
forward.
about my breakup in this one, I'm talking about when I lost a very close family member, but I did grief counseling, and
Mhm.
you're talking about coming up for air, and the way the grief counselor described it sounded so similar to what you're saying, but they said when you experience that loss, it colors your whole world, and your world is this big, and for those of you who are listening, I'm, like, holding my hands out. But then every day that goes by, whether you want it to or not, your world expands, the number of days you've been here expands. And so even though the grief is still there and it spreads, it can't fill up all the space. And so the more time that goes by, you breathe more. And then you feel, of course, at least I did. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I felt guilty for not feeling sad one day. Like the first day that I wasn't sad anymore, I felt guilty for not feeling sad. And you have
Yeah.
to, experience that fun little stage of
Mhm.
of losing someone.
Yeah, the guilt is funky. Like, there are things that I can't still yet revisit.
I love that you
Mm.
use yet.
What?
I love that you use the word yet. You
Oh,
can't
yeah.
yet.
Yeah. Um, there are experiences that I can't yet revisit because the guilt, like, it's not because of the guilt, it's because the grief is too heavy and I
Mhm.
feel guilty for not doing those things yet. But I know that I'll do them. And yeah, sometimes though I do, I have to like sit and make a list of the things that I want to do. And then I have to calendar them. I literally have to say, like, this is when you're doing this, or it will never happen. And then you won't experience the joy. Because what I have found is even the hard things bring me um, a very like immeasurable amount of grief. So one of the things I couldn't do, this, like, it's funny, the things that make you like emotional, the things that make you tear up, right? I can tell you I lost my husband and I don't get emotional. But when I tell you that walking into Costco meat department is still an emotional experience because my husband loved smoking meat. Walking into Costco almost brought me to my knees the first time I went in. And then I hit the meat department, and there are no paper towels or tissues in the meat department, just for all of you listeners. Costco's not real giving um, with that stuff. They could improve on that. I imagine people need paper towels. But yeah, it was like walking by the filet mignon, the pork shoulder, the ground beef, and then the bacon area. It took, I think I started counting, like, it was probably 6 visits to Costco, but I kept going back for more because it was cathartic, and I missed Costco. It is my jam, and it is, it's like, I enjoy going there on Friday nights when there's not a lot of people there, and yeah, I might take my time. I don't eat a lot of red meat, so I'm not buying it, I'm just looking at it, and it's funny, the wine section's, like, right next door, and I might grab some of that, but I don't drink a lot of that either. But, yeah, like, it was an experience that I I just kept pushing myself to go back, like, it was so joyful, it was and so sad at the same time. I'm like, "I miss you. Why am I in Costco by myself?" But
I Is there something about that sucker punch moment that makes you feel closer to him?
yes, it's like your hands, right? Like, this is the ball for me, like, this is my experience, I can't stress that enough, everyone is different. This is the ball that I was living in, and I could see, it's expanding, time is moving on, right? But you have to figure out, like, how are you gonna get out? How are you gonna push this to get a little bit bigger even before it's ready to, right? Like, we're expandable human beings. I can grow muscle to get bigger. Well, my husband would love this. Or I can, frankly, eat $85 worth of Ben and Jerry's that I did have delivered to my house routinely. Yes. And I got bigger in other ways. Okay. But I can choose how I want to expand. So yes, like every time I would go, it was a, another tool I could put in my toolbox. And then like if I were measuring what I could endure, I could go that much harder next time. Like Okay, I did Costco. All right. I'm eventually gonna get back on the bike. And I hate the bike for those that know me. I only like to run and I deal with the swim. I kind of like the swim. My husband was an adult um swim instructor. He was an adult learn to swim instructor as a hobby, as a yeah, a hobby. And he was an amazing triathlete. I currently ride his bike in races. We had it refit because we were both tall and had long legs, so this worked out. And he had a much nicer bike than I did, which I found out. I didn't realize that too. I didn't realize he had purchased a much nicer bike than mine, which is fine. Um, but I have expanded this, right? Like I've put this almost down. Like this almost doesn't have any walls anymore. There are certain things that I don't want to walk through yet. Um, but I have done a half Ironman since he passed away. And it was a rough race. Thank you, Dirty Jersey. So, but it was cathartic. And maybe, I think you can fall in love with love. I think you can fall in love with pain. You can be addicted to pain. Yeah, I know those theories and ideas exist, but just because like people say that something exists, like, oh, you can be addicted to the pain, you can make it your own. So going and returning to the activities that brought me joy with my person, it's still mine to own, but it's just going to be different now, right? It could be the way that I meet a new person. I'm not looking for the same person. No, but it could be another possibility. The motto of Ironman is anything is possible. I'm possible. Ironman. I am.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
that's what the community is about. And it's a community that embraced me. A lot of people knew him. A lot of people don't know him, but it's a community that like has pulled me through, but I had to let it pull me through. I had to let it. If you don't like, I have to be careful about things like that. I have to let things pull me through or I won't change or I won't allow things to get better for me.
What
Yeah.
do you think he would have wanted for you for this next chapter of your life? He was someone, as you told me, that believed this moment does not have to be your future. So how's that something
Um,
that you're in today, and how does that affect you?
I talk to and I hear my husband a lot. Um Everyone's experience is their own when somebody passes. I will never laugh off whether or not, people feel visited or compelled or by their people that have gone to heaven or the other side or whatever you believe that they went. Um, but I know that he is really bummed out that this happened. Um, and then I know that I was incredibly blessed to have him for even just the short amount of time that I did. Um, but yeah, I know that he wants the very best. I know that I'm destined for greatness. My uncle used to say, because he's passed as well, my uncle used to say, you control your um, destiny. And I believed that, and we believed that. My husband and I, we believed that. So no, I have no guilt about moving forward in a relationship with a partner. Um, I know that the makeup of that person will need to be to a high level of badass.
Marston said hi.
because because um I'm a badass. My husband had to show that to me. You had to teach that to me, and I'm not dumping that. That's not going in the recycle bin. Nope. That's staying. But no, I don't think that anyone that unfortunately loses their person and is left behind, um, is being held by their partner to want them to be sad. Like my husband would, if he were alive, he would say, he'd be like, you know, why the hell would you think that I would want you to be solo? Like he knows that I've put in my time doing this on my own solo for 4 years. I mean, I tell him all the time, I'm like, walking through Costco, anytime you want to drop the next guy right here, aisle 6, help me get that paper towels down, give me his number. Like, you want to make it happen. I do. I talk to him about it all the time. Um, but yeah, I mean,
I
nobody
I like
wants their
the way that
person to be
I
sad.
like the way that you phrase that. I've heard it described for some other people as the person who has passed helping sending the next person.
Oh, I
So
100%
kind of
believe
what
that.
you're
No, I've spoken to him about this repeatedly. I've said, hey, um, you want to move this along? Here's the list of requirements, as you know. And then equally, I can feel the energy of, okay, but here's the things you need to work on as well. Here's the things that you're not dealing with. Like you know, you need to make sure you're doing these things to welcome someone.
what things, if you
Ah,
want to share.
sure, why not? Um, so apparently, if you only partake, I mean, hear me out. If you want to date men, but you only partake in female led activities that isolate you with other women who are awesome, by the way, for those of them
Crappy women are amazing. Yes.
watching and listening and know that they're my amazing ladies. But if you only partake in those activities, you might be isolating yourself. If you work from home 5 days a week and you don't do any professional networking with the opposite sex, you might be isolating yourself.
You think?
If you only hang out with your family, who are all married to each other and are under the age of 5, you might be isolating yourself. If you don't go out past 5 p.m. because you're comfy, and want to watch another Netflix. I mean, did we all not love Landman? Did we all not love Stranger Things? And now the Olympics? Okay, you might be isolating yourself.
After my breakup, a good friend of mine said to me, because I was ready to date again. I was like, "Where are all these people?" And she goes, "Christy, Mr. Wright's not going to ring your freaking doorbell and bring you a pizza." And I was like,
I don't
"Why
even eat pizzas.
not?"
Isolating myself again, right? I'm kind of
Yeah.
gluten free, but I'm open. I said, like, look, there's FedEx and there's UPS, and if I get something overnight from USPS, that's 3 opportunities. And my friends were like, no,
No.
no, no, no. I know it's not magic, um, but if you don't, what is it? If you don't take more hits at bat, is that I'm really bad with the baseball references.
Is
The
it
kids
the okay? So
version
I
to
always
me.
mix up these metaphors too. Is it the you
Yeah.
miss 100% of the shots you
Oh,
don't take, like the
oh, that's
basketball
a good one.
thing?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll do
yeah,
that.
yeah. I just never know, like, are we talking like this kind of
Oh,
shot or we're like shooting? Like, what are we
no,
doing?
I think that's basketball. I'm not a
Oh,
sports person.
yeah.
My other half is. I'm not a sports person.
Okay. So
Other than I do
here,
love
um,
football.
running reference, you
Mhm.
you miss all the finish lines that you don't start. Like, sorry, yeah, if you go, yeah. Um, so I'm registered for another half Ironman. I'll get there early. I mean, they usually open at 4:30 a.m. I'll definitely
Okay,
make sure.
I say this with all the love in my heart as someone who has done half marathons. Everyone's going to be in their zone, in their earbuds and their stuff, like working ready for their thing, setting their own mindset up, or let's be honest, they'll be listening to Journey that's been playing because that nothing gets people pumped up for a race more than Journey at
Don't
4:30 a.m.
stop believing. Yeah.
Every freaking race, Journey. But separate from the Journey, um, you, maybe not, maybe a little bit isolating on that one too.
Right. So then, I've made like my list. Where do the
Okay.
people that I typically identify with hang out? And so begrudgingly, I signed up for like regular community based networking because I'm 48. I'm like a real adult now,
You
right?
are a
The
real
other,
adult.
I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat the other real adults that are my age that I might vibe with. They too, spoiler alert, may have gone through a life event that I too have to be respectful of. And you come as you are at this stage.
Yes.
This isn't like you're 30 and you've got this clean slate of like, oh, and we get to determine what our future looks like. I will never use the term baggage. I find it offensive.
I agree. I
I
like battle
don't like
scars
it.
personally
No.
because I'm proud of my scars. I have a lot of them and I'm proud of them.
And you should be. There should be. Y- This is who we've become, who we are based on our experiences, how we navigated them, and what we choose to do with them. So I can't look at people and say their experiences are negative. It's just whether or not we vibe, right? Like we just really might not be on the same page about things that matter to us. And I don't always know what that exactly is going to be. But
Mhm.
for a person that has existing children, that is part of your life. To a person that their marriage ended or a couple marriages ended, that is part of your life and who you are. To a person that lost their person to death, that is part of your life experience. That's who you are. What I'm more concerned about is what did you learn along the way? Did it transform you? Do you want it to transform you? And like, how do you want to move forward? What's in your toolbox?
I love you and I use the same words, moving forward, not moving on. Moving
Not
on
short.
feels like you're
Short.
leaving people behind, and if it's someone you love, they come with you. And
Yep.
you're someone I know we've talked before who's dated a widower in addition to being one.
Hmm.
Do you think the next person who moves forward with you when you meet them, how do you think they have to treat that part of you? Like I've heard it said that if you love someone who's lost someone, you have to love the person they lost too. Do you think that's true?
I think they need to love and respect your memory of that person. They're never going to meet them. They're never going to meet them.
Of course.
They're never going to experience the physical of them. They'll be different. I'm not looking for a carbon copy, but yes, I would want that person to um, welcome the memory of Chris because he's always going to be around, especially at the holidays.
You know,
Okay, he's a jolly holly in his Santa suit. He's on the shelf. The ornaments are still going to go on the tree that have memories attached to them with his, ours, names on them. Okay, maybe not all 40 of them. That's something that I can't even explain sometimes. It's just a feeling. I put up a tree every year. The first year, it was horrific to do it. I did it this past year. It was a better feeling, but there was like a whole section of ornaments that I didn't put up because I just got to the spot where I was like, okay, I got a whole bunch. The tree looks good. I feel like there's enough memories here. I don't want to relive every single memory in the box. It's okay. I went out and bought some more new ornaments because that's my jam. I buy new ornaments every year. And then I called it. I called it good. And next year, if there's someone in my life, maybe their ornaments go on the tree too. Maybe they don't want to be. Maybe they're not even into the tree and they have a menorah. I don't
I love I love
know.
the Christmas tree
Like,
metaphor. There are so many examples of people incorporating loss. And by love, I get what you're saying, and I agree and appreciate all of that. They'll never meet the person. I don't mean love in the way that like you do or things like that. The example that I love the most, I think it was Carolyn Hacks, and I'm so going to not or kick myself if I got the wrong one, but I think it was Carolyn Hacks, but it was definitely an advice columnist, and she married a widower, and then they had a child. And their child at some point found wedding photos of their dad with someone else and said, "Who is this?" And they said, "Oh, this is, dad's first wife, wanted him to have a family, wanted him to have all of these things." She goes, "Oh, I feel like I have a second mom in heaven." And she made it whole, um, there's a whole picture around it. And I saw this years and years and years ago, and I thought, what a lovely way of honoring someone that changed her spouse, that is a huge part of who her spouse is. Look at the way our former first lady honors, I'm specifically talking about Jill Biden, if you don't know, like honors who came before. I think there is such a way to be respectful and honoring of the person that you love with your whole heart, someone who helped shape them. And then there are also ways to go about it in the opposite. So I love your Christmas tree metaphor, making room for the memories that are new to come, and also making room for the memories that of people who we've lost. And that doesn't even have to be a romantic partner. I've shared with you, like, I lost family members, grandfather, grandmother, things like that that are so important to me. I'm looking around, their pictures are over there. Their pictures are on my wall in my bedroom. And I'd be devastated if I couldn't see their faces every now and then, or someone told me to take them down. And I love when my now, person asks me about them or said, "Hey, I wish I would have gotten to meet them. They sound really cool." Or says, "Hey, on a hard day, would you like to tell me a story about them?"
Yeah.
And when you meet the next person on your journey, I hope they do that for you with Chris.
I hope so too.
So, with this moment of transformation, what do you want next for you? Besides meeting the next person, maybe in Costco, maybe a different way. But what else do you want for yourself?
I don't know, but I think that's like not a great answer is to say that you don't know, right? Like I have a list of like many, many little things that I want for myself, right? So I'm growing a business. I want to um do that and do it well. And I don't want to make mistakes, but I know that they're inevitable and I'm going to make them, right? I need um I have to still figure out a way to keep navigating this lifestyle to support the way that I want to live and how I want to live. Um there are some goals that we had together and I don't think I'm ready to surrender to letting them go. At the 5-year mark of owning our home, we were supposed to sell it and move to lakefront property. And what's funny is the house that I live in now is 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, and people have come in and said, "Wow, this is a big house for one person and 2 dogs." I do have 2 dogs. And, I just thought it was like a funny statement because I could
Yeah.
never imagine myself living in a smaller place, only bigger, actually. I need more land for my dogs. And, um, so, like, I don't see shrinking. I only see expansion. This I tried the shrinking. I did, and it didn't like, without getting into all the details, it didn't work.
It doesn't serve you.
I
You're not, that's not who you are. I haven't known you for that long, but that's not who you are.
No, I tried. I tried doing less. I tried living on less, doing less, and none of it worked. I said like, it was miserable. I'm I only wanted to do more, and, like, I wanna help more people. People helped me physically, financially, emotionally in the first year. I see that being something. I don't know what it is yet, though. Like, um, you're doing this podcast. I'm assuming in some capacity, this is a vehicle for you to help people, right? This is have
I
you've
certainly hope so.
identified that this is a tool to do what you wanna do. So I just have to keep I just keep making my list, and I think it'll reveal itself and how and what are the ways that I'll keep expanding. I just don't know exactly what it is. I'm traveling more. I'm going on more trips. Um, I have ideas. I don't know. I have my list of goals for the year. I got the calendar. I'm filling up dates as we go. Sometimes I wish it was faster. They're more alluring, but it is what it is, I guess, until I change my mind.
If you could go back and tell yourself something in that, I don't mean that exact moment, but after you lost Chris,
Mhm.
or something to somebody else who just lost their spouse,
Yeah.
so that they know that this moment is not the end, what would that be?
So it's interesting that you use the phrase, if you could go back. For a long time, and I still do it now. For a long time, I would love to like fantasize and go back and replay my life in the way that it was going to be and like think about all these scenarios and how they would have shaken out. And I ultimately had to stop doing it because it wasn't helping me move forward in that like I couldn't go back and like I would get stuck and I would be living in this thing that wasn't real, right? However, I think that's natural to do. I just can't do it anymore. What's better for me is that I share more and more about my experience because what I have found out is there are people that need it. They need to hear that I might be they might be me, but they're the version of me 4 years ago because they're going through it now. And what I tell those people is, I understand. Like right now, you are maybe minute to minute. And then you won't believe me. You will not believe me. And you don't have to. But if you got out a measuring stick, I promise you, when a month goes by, 6 months go by, I'm not saying that it gets better. Nope, punch me in the face if you feel like that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if you look hard enough, if you reflect, you might find like this much little bit of space or light or energy, grace, blessing, whatever you want to call it. You might find this little bit more of hope that there's a new possibility there. There's something else that could be different or it could change. And what I promise is that if you do the work, because yes, there is work, it's heavy lifting. If you do the work in whatever way that you can in the early days, that this gets this bigger and then it gets this bigger. But it's your own journey. My grief therapist told me to look at my thumbprint and she made me put it in ink on a piece of paper. And she said, your thumbprint is as unique as it is. That's your grief journey as well. Everybody's grief journey is as unique as their thumbprint. So it's yours to own. But I promise that true to your podcast name, it is not the end. Please don't let it be. Please, if you ever, truly feel it's the end, please seek help. Tell someone. So many resources to help you. I have to say that because I have to say that. Um, but if you trust me, like it does. It gets this much better in time. I'll never say it goes away. Grief and sadness are like two different things. Grief and loss, maybe like two different things. I don't know. I'll always have the grief of the loss of my husband. I'll always have moments. They pop up. Costco, right? What a fun
Yeah.
place. Me getting into the driver's seat in my car every single day. Never a co-pilot, never a passenger, because I'm the one that has to drive the car. Like it's a moment of grief. It's like micro grief though, where it used to be macro grief. I didn't drive my car for like a month, but now it's micro. So I will never use the term, what is it? Time heals all wounds.
No,
No,
no, it does not.
no.
Mm.
Mm-mm. I'll never say everything happens for a reason. Mm-mm. Nope. I won't say that either. But I will say you're on your own journey. You decide how you move forward, but please know that everyone is like destined for greatness in their own capacity. That's that's a promise. You just have to find it. You have to keep searching and going after it, chipping away, chip, chipping away, right? Yeah.
Well, normally I ask this question last, but I think you just answered it. But I'm going to ask anyway, just in case there's anything you want to add. We like to ask at the end. This is not the end. It's the beginning of blank.
um, this is not the end, but it's the beginning of what you decide it to be. And you have to make the decision.
I tell our divorce clients, but I truly think it's true for everybody that you get to write the next chapter of your story.
Mhm.
You're holding the pen, and I hope you make it a good story.
Choose to make it a good story.